You read the thumbnail right. Originality is dead. Everything's been made before, 100,000 times before. Everything's a remake. Nothing wholly new is ever going to be made. So why are we even here? What's the point? Let's pack it up now and call it a day. Is any of that actually true? Well, yes, but actually no. And I'll tell you why. I'm Zach. I'm an independent self-published author who wants to help you with your book. And today I specifically want to do that by taking a step back and looking at storytelling from a much larger perspective, specifically in what seems to be plaguing the modern storytelling landscape, which is a lack of originality. It's no secret that Hollywood is coming up short on it because it seems every other project today is a remake or a reboot or a sequel, something set in a pre-existing IP. And it's not just movies. The literature world is also on fire with this lack of originality. Book talk has monopolized romantasy as a genre. Every one of those stories is the same. Every one of those covers are the same. There is nothing interesting or original happening. Not to mention that, the internet as a whole has completely ossified the brains of the public, so much so that I'm hearing reports that people are now having trouble or altogether can't follow along or understand a third-person omniscient narrator point of view. Long story short, literacy rates are down, the current selection of contemporary fiction is incredibly limited in terms of quality, and the few people who are reading are calling the shots, and they're doing so poorly. That tiny rant aside, please read books, preferably classics. This all stems from a lack of originality, from a world where it has never been easier for anyone and everyone to be able to publish a book, which is both a good thing and a bad thing. There are so many stories out there, and new stories being added to the pile every single day. But the writing world is not some last frontier. There's no inch of it left unexplored, which means that nothing being made is really original anymore. Or is it? It's been pointed out that every plot can be boiled down to one of 6. These are the 6 core plots that every story is a variation of. Sometimes I've seen a 7th thrown in, I've also seen groupings of 9, but really anything beyond these core 6 are deviations from them. To go even deeper into the core of storytelling than that, and to simplify things even more, you could boil every story down to 2 plot points. This, of course, comes from a quote that's been attributed to many writers over the years, including but not limited to Dostoevsky, Hemingway, and John Gardner. And the quote is this: "There are only 2 plots in all of literature. A person goes on a journey, or a stranger comes to town." And that's it. Really, you might be asking, only 2 plots in all of literature? It's more likely than you might think if you're willing to get pedantic about it. Let's boil down a few famous movies. If you look at The Prestige, The Lord of the Rings, or Tron, that's a character going on a journey. And for a stranger coming to town, look at Terminator or Across the Spider-Verse. Some stories are also and often combinations of the two. For this, think of Pixar's Up. Russell is the stranger that comes to town and meets Carl, and then the two of them go on a journey together. Now, these are obviously oversimplifications of great stories, but the point is, whatever your story is going to be, it will also fall under the umbrella of these core 6, or 2, plot lines. So if you're thinking you're going to write a new kind of story that has never been written before, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you're just not. But also you are. Let me explain. We all know the hero's journey because it's been done a billion times by now. It is the quintessential, for lack of a better term, template for a good character arc. The protagonist goes on a journey, either physically or mentally, and comes back forever changed by their experiences, wizened and made a more well-rounded individual. We all know that. That's a story we've seen play out time and time and time again. It is decisively and by definition unoriginal. But yet, we still don't get tired of it, because excellent writers are able to spin that familiar story into something that feels original through original characters. But let's stop right there, because not even those characters are fully original. A lot of ups and downs in this one, huh? You might be saying, what do you mean my original characters aren't fully original? Well, that's because you created the character with some amount of outside inspiration or influence, either consciously or subconsciously. I know I do with my characters, and like with so many other facets of writing, being aware of these things, being aware of where your inspirations come from and what shapes you as a writer, will give you a massive advantage over the control of your writing moving forward. To prove this point, to demonstrate the originality complex, let's look at one of my main characters from my most recent book, Somebody to Hate. The protagonist of my mystery novel is named Michael Hightower. In my mind, Michael looks like a man of about mid-30s, give or take a few years. He's got short brown hair, a square jaw, a thick mustache, and a perpetually inquisitive expression on his face. He is a detective, after all. And before you ask, no, this whole look that I'm wearing now was not meant to commit to the bit for this video. My hand happened to slip when I was shaving, and so I had to take the whole thing off, and I liked the mustache, so I kept it. Michael wears black shoes, black pants, a black turtleneck sweater and a gray coat that drapes around just past the knees. These were all very deliberate and intentional decisions, which were all inspired by some outside source. None of these were technically original per se. I didn't invent the overcoat for this book. But let's break all of these puzzle pieces down to their roots and see how they come together to create this original character. His first name, Michael, comes from the actor Michael Sheen. There are very many different reasons for that. There are a lot of projects that Michael Sheen was in that influenced some of the tones and themes of this book, as well as Michael Sheen was a favorite actor of an old friend of mine to whom this book is dedicated. My main character's last name, Hightower, came from the name on the side of a building of an orthodontist's office across from the building where I used to work in my very first job. Real exciting peek behind the curtain of writing, eh? Michael's look, style, and overall presence comes from Jude Law's portrayal of John Watson in Sherlock Holmes: A Game of Shadows. There's one very particular outfit that he wears near the end of the movie that stuck with me, and his whole mannerisms and presence and the way he carried himself started to spin this new character in my mind. So what have we learned about my main character? Well, we've seen clearly he is an unoriginal patchwork of various names, people, and performances strung up and stitched together like Frankenstein's monster and given the facsimile of life by yours truly. Except, that's not entirely it either. If you look back at those stories that I just told you and the sources for where everything came from, you should note there's one underlying factor that they all have in common. And if you don't recognize it, allow me to draw your eye to it. It's me! No one else could put those inspirations together exactly the way I did. And that's not me being pretentious, that's me knowing no one else has lived the exact kind of life that I have. No one else was a friend of this person who really loved Michael Sheen at the time. No one else worked across from Dr. Hightower's office when I was plotting out my next book. No one else was probably as keyed into Jude Law's performance in the back half of an old Sherlock Holmes movie as I was. But even if someone had done all that and had been in those precise moments in time and place, the odds are still astronomically slim that they would have taken all of these random disparate pieces of information and sewn them together to create Michael Hightower. You see, sewing together your inspirations like Frankenstein's monster isn't about the pieces, it's about the stitching. That's where your hand as the creator shines through. No one is going to stitch exactly like you. Even more so than just that main character, let's look at the book that I put him in. A murder mystery set in London, England. That is about as far from original as you can get. Agatha Christie, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and so many other authors who are far more intelligent than I am have written dozens of stories and murder mysteries in London, England. But none of them could have written my mystery. None of them could have written Somebody to Hate exactly as I saw it. None of them could have infused it with my precise music taste, or written it in a way to pull at the exact heartstrings the way that I wanted to. That's not to say that I'm better than Agatha Christie or Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, because I'm very much not. But that's to say that the story I wrote could only have been written by me, from my unique, dare I say, original perspective. Are you seeing the point? Originality does not exist, while simultaneously being at the core of everything that you do as a writer. Every idea you have has been influenced by your environment, like I talked about in my last video on setting. And so everything that you create is a product of every created thing that you have taken in over the course of your life. The originality comes in how you put it all together to make it yours. Look at the current, unfortunately evergreen topic of AI art right now. All of that is a computer taking in and filtering the sum total of all human artwork, mashing it together, and then spitting out something that is supposed to be original, but by definition can't be. Now, on the surface, that might sound exactly like what I just described we as people do, but it's really not, and it's because there's one important aspect missing: the soul. The AI has not lived a life. It doesn't have any original experiences or thoughts. When you ask it a question, it's not looking at its own memories for advice, it's looking at everyone else's memories. That's the difference. That's why human ingenuity and creativity is so important in the world of storytelling, especially in terms of originality. Since we know that only 2 or 6 kinds of plot lines exist, if we want to read something original, then we need people who have lived original lives and have original experiences to create something that only they can. AI aside, because we'll cover that in another video and the whole EM- fiasco, the point is that your life is what adds the originality. It's your thoughts on what you've been inspired by and what you've experienced that filters your interests and molds them into something that is wholly new and created by you. Something that truly only you can create. Only you can write your book. If you don't, who will? And more than that, who else even could? So, with that being said, I hope this video has been an inspiration to my fellow writers out there, especially those of you who have a story and you're on the fence about it. Please write it. Please start it. You are the only one who could tell that story exactly the way that you want to tell it. Keep pushing forward, keep writing, keep honing the craft every single day, and I promise you, you will eventually end up with something you're proud of. And most of all, don't rack your mind over what's original or not. That's like when an artist or a painter starts hyper-focusing on their style, because everyone has a style. If you try too hard, you'll just end up emulating someone else, and it's the same for writing. Let go of all that. Let go of all the rules if you want to create something truly original. If you write something that is true to yourself, true to your life, true to your feelings, and true to what you have to say, it will be. Trust me. And on the way, if you need any help with your story, head on over to my website, www.zdapress.com, and you can download my free character creation tool. It's a list of over 200 questions that's designed to help you create a fully realized three-dimensional character. And while you're on the website, if you need an editor or a cover designer for your book, you can find those details on the services tab. And if you like what you see, you can get in touch with me via email, which is on the contact page and also in the description of this video. You can find me on Instagram at Zach Anderson Author with underscores in between. And of course, I'm right here on YouTube. Thank you all so much for watching. I really hope this video has been an encouragement and an inspiration to you, as well as answer some questions and fears that I know early writers have, because I know I had them when I got started. And I really hope that this has helped push you forward and helped gotten you off the fence about your story. The original is dead. Long live the original. And as always, I will see you in the next one.